Hello guys, today get something where I want to talk. There is something very very interesting about Malaysia. Not a lot of people know about Malaysia. So the time why they come Malaysia, that's many years ago. So I when I arrived in Malaysia, I already know that the weather is not really cold. I already know that the weather is not really cold, but I never knew how hot is it. Malaysia is can be considered a bit more hotter than Nigeria actually, because Nigeria do have about four weather. We do have winter, we do have summer, we do have rainy season, and I think about we do have three types of weather actually. We have sunny season, rainy season. During December, January, it's usually very cold. So when I arrived in Malaysia, I know that the weather is not very hot. So I came usually in the plane, in the flights, they usually give some blanket for you to cover yourself because it's a very long journey. We did one transit actually. So it's from Nigeria to Malaysia is about I think about 18 hours, inclusive of the transit. About 18 to 19 hours, plus and minus 20 hours from Nigeria to Malaysia. So the flights usually give a blanket because you're going to stay in one transit. You're going to stay about 7 to 8 hours in one go. So depending on the airline you take, if you take airlines like Etihad Airways, Qatar Airways, or Emirates Airways, they usually stop in Doha or Abu Dhabi and any of the UAE cities. So, and then they will transit from there directly to Malaysia. Each transit costs about 7 to 8 hours. It will take you about 7 to 8 hours in one flight before you reach the transit. So, and you know it's a very long time to stay in the flight for 7 to 8 hours. So these airlines, they usually give a blanket for you to cover yourself because the aircon in the flight will get very cold, especially when we get to some certain locations, probably above the Atlantic Ocean or above the ocean. The weather is usually cold above the ocean there, so they will give you it will because it will make the flight to be more cold inside, especially when you have been sitting in there for a very long time. So they give you a blanket to cover yourself. So this blanket usually they require you to return it every time you're off boarding the plane. But I stole the blanket. So let me confess, I stole the blanket. Me and my cousin, we stole the blanket. We didn't really steal it, but I think they don't really enforce you giving it back to them. I think they usually allow some of their passengers to take it off if they want. So I took the blanket, I used it, I hanged it on my neck, just because inside the airport is very very cold. Like Abu Dhabi or Doha airport, the airport is extremely very cold. So I used it to kind of cover my shoulders in order to withstand the cold because we had transit of about 6 hours inside the airport. So because the airplane that was supposed to come pick us from it was supposed to come pick us from Malaysia. So, but it had some delay, so we had to stay in the airport for about 6 hours. So I took the blankets when I arrived at the Doha airport, and then I used it to cover myself. So when we took off and started coming to Malaysia, when we arrived in Malaysia, I took the blanket also. I just hanged it on my shoulder. So what happened was this lady that was sent by my university to come pick me up from the airport, she came, she saw me hanging the blanket on my shoulder. So she thought I was thinking that Malaysia would be very cold. So that's why I brought the blanket. So she started laughing at me. She thought I actually thought Malaysia would be very cold. She started laughing at me. She laughed at me for a few minutes. And then after that, she asked me, what did I think that Malaysian weather would be? Why did I bring blanket? Did I think that Malaysian weather would be extremely cold? I told her, no, 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 it's not about that. I actually brought this blanket from the flight because the airport and inside the airplane was very cold, so I used it to cover myself. So when we were off boarding the plane, I kind of carried it on. So it's not that I brought it because I thought Malaysia would be very cold. So after she laughed for a while, she said, okay, that she thought that I was thinking that Malaysia would be extremely cold. And I told her, no, I know that Malaysian weather is not that cold. So I know that a lot of people will already know that, but a few people will still not know that. Some people think that Malaysia is very cold, Malaysia is not very cold. All the countries in Southeast Asia, none of them do get snow. None of them do get extreme cold. The only place you can experience cold here in Malaysia is only about one or two places, which is Genting Highlands and Cameroon Highlands, and probably another place which I'm not aware of. But in Genting Highlands, the lowest it goes is about 17 degrees Celsius. That's the lowest I've seen in Genting Highlands so far. So it never gets cold in Malaysia. Rain falls at any time. The sun comes out at any time. From January to December, it never gets cold. The weather is constantly hot. The weather is constantly probably above 30 degrees Celsius almost every day unless it rains. So that's the weather. That was my experience, guy. The lady thought I was thinking that Malaysia would be extremely cold. That was why I brought my blanket. But I explained to her that no, I already understand that Malaysia is not really that cold. So it's not the reason why I brought the blanket. The blanket was for the airport because we spent a lot of time at the airport and we had to sleep in the airport actually because we cannot go outside the airport because we don't have a transit visa. So that was actually one of the reasons why. That was the major reason why I took the blanket. And after I explained to her, then she was like, "Okay, no problem." So she drove me to my place of residence. So that was my experience, guys. If you're coming to Malaysia, don't expect that Malaysia will be cold. Malaysia doesn't have snow. Malaysia does never experience snow. Malaysian weather never gone below 16 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure. Maybe the other part of Malaysia that it's usually at the highlands that usually experience weathers that are below probably around 17 degrees Celsius. I think the lowest it can go is 16 degrees Celsius, which is considered very cold for normal people here in Malaysia because they are never used to that. And this Genting Highland is just a tourism attraction. It's not a residence. It's not place where normal people will live. It's just a place they have. It's the place but the place was built on a highland, so they have hotels, they have casino, they have playground, they have a cable car, they have different activities that you can do there. I have made a video about that already. So it's just a special place that you can go for some time to have some holiday and ease out some stress. So that's not the normal weather in Malaysia. Malaysian weather never goes below 17 degrees Celsius. It's always constantly above 26 degrees Celsius, Malaysian weather. So even Singapore, Indonesia, and Myanmar, all these places, Thailand, Bangladesh, all of them, their weather is usually the same. The only place you can experience cold is Japan, China, and South Korea, countries of those, I think, East Asia. Those are the places that usually experience snow. Those are the places that usually experience extreme cold. But any country in Southeast Asia, their weather is constantly hot. So that's it, guys. That's my experience coming to Malaysia. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow my Facebook page. Very important. Until I see you again, guys. Bye bye.